Hi, this is Kevin Lee, and right now I'm doing the unit reflection for cognition. So first of all, the concept that I think is the most interesting in this unit is retrieval. Because basically, retrieval means like to getting information out of a memory so we can use it. So like, um, there are two types of retrieval, like recognition, the process of matching a current event or fact with one already in memory. And the second one is recall, like to retrieving a memory from an external cue. And there are some interesting facts for retrieval, like serial position effect, like primacy effect and recency effect. Those primacy effect basically means predicts that we are more likely to recall items presented at the beginning of a list, and recency effect basically mean demonstrated by our ability to recall the items at the end of list, and also the context. So like some situation for retrieval, like the most interesting one is the tip of tongue phenomena, which means temporary inability to remember information. I think this is interesting because it's sometimes I experience this phenomena, and sometimes I just cannot say it out because I just forgot when just have retrieval from my memory. Also, some flashbulb memories, those are powerful because the importance of the event causes us to encode the context surrounding the event, like those memories which are the most memorable for our in our life. We call those memory our flashbulb memories, and that's pretty interesting because because in our life there's so many different moments that affect us, and some might affect us greatly, and we can actually remember those with a deep memorization. I think that these are pretty interesting. And for the module style I feel strongest in is definitely the way of we memorize stuffs. So according to what we learned, the information processing model of memory basically are like three boxes. The three boxes like encoding, storage, and retrieval. Like encoding is basically the input of things we see and we hear about, and then in store in our storage box, and then retrieval, which is the output. There are three kinds of memories. First of all is sensory memory, which is the first step of external events. And this sensory memory is extremely short. There are two types of sensory memory. First one is iconic memory, which is the visual memory. And then is the echoic memory, which is the hearing. We actually remember all of the stuff in sensory memory in just very short period of time, but we cannot encode those into our working memory stage, and even in long-term memory stage, because for most of the things that we have saw in sensory memory, we cannot encode it. We can encode just a few of them. And the second memory stage is short term, which also working memory. The durability for working memory is basically like 30 seconds. It's more than sensory memory, but it's also short, but it's longer than sensory memory. And it holds everything we are currently thinking. Just like if we do nothing with short-term memories, we just can remember it for 30 seconds, 10 to 30 seconds. Actually, in short-term memory, we have capacity limited to 7 items or 5 to 9 pieces of information. Like, and some there's some way we can use to benefit our memorizing ability. First of all is like chunking, we can use this can be used to expand this limit. Like we group items together and we try to remember them in groups by groups. So it really helps us to retain the information. Just like we can, if we have 7 digits or even 11 digits, we can just split them up and just like 333. This is what chunking means. And also to better retain the information, we can rehearse our memory, basically like repeat it and repeat it. And there are two types of rehearsal. The first one is elaborate rehearsal and simple rehearsal. So simple rehearsal is basically like mechanically repeat it and repeat it over and over again. But elaborate rehearsal is different. Elaborate rehearsal like is not only repeating, it's also like creating different elements associated with repeating the process of repeating. Just like if we will try to remember a vocabulary, we can not only just repeating this how to spell this vocabulary, also we can associate the learning with something else. For example, if we want to remember calculator, the word calculator, we can associate the story that you first time using a calculator to solve a problem. Yeah, that moment is significant, and this really helps us to remember the definition for calculator. And for the last type of memory, long-term memory, it's our permanent storage, and like it's unlimited. It sounds crazy, right? And once the information is there, it's usually there forever. And we have so many different kinds memories in long-term memory stage. First of all, declarative memory and procedural memory, and those are two main type of long-term memory. So declarative memory is the memory that we can talk about, and procedural memory is the memory we cannot talk about. It's like the more action memory. We can act out, because learning memory can split to declarative memory and procedural memory, and declarative memory can also split to two types of memory. First of all is semantic memory, and the second one is episodic memory. Semantic memory basically means general knowledge of the world, sorted as facts, meanings, or categories. But episodic memory is different. It's basically like the memories of specific events. And for the procedural memory, it includes motor skills, operant condition, and classical condition. It's basically the memory of skills and how to perform them. And that's basically all the kinds of memories in our brain. And there's another memory, but it's not for all of us. It's eidetic memory, basically like photographic memory, which basically means we have a very super clear memories of a certain things, but it's usually not for everyone. And that's the thing I feel most strongest in this unit. Also, the modules I feel the weakest is the language stuff. From my notes, I can actually tell like there are different elements of language, like phonemes, which is the smallest units of sound used in a language, and morphemes is the smallest unit of meaning sound. And the syntax and grammar are super important. Syntax basically the order in which words are spoken or written, and the grammar is like how the correct way to speak. And language acquisition is independent of which language. All babies progress through the same basic stages, and those stages are actually confused me the most about. Like from my notes, I can tell the first stage is babbling, just occurs around 6 months of age, like just produce any phoneme in any language, just like yeah. And the second stage is holophrastic stage. It's basically like one word stage. The baby speak in single word. And the second one is telegraphic speech, basically 2 word stage, where baby just speak in 2 words. And the meaning is clear, but syntax is absent. And there's one more modules that I don't feel super strong in is problem solving. And I know there are two main types of problem solving: algorithms and heuristics. And for heuristics, I'm not super have a strong impression on it, because there are availability heuristics and representativeness heuristic. I sometimes like confuse those together. Like, and availability heuristic is judging a situation based on examples of similar situations that come to mind initially and may lead to incorrect conclusions due to variability in personal experience. And representativeness heuristic is judging a situation based on how similar the aspects or prototypes the person holds in his mind. So availability heuristic is experience of some similar situations, and representativeness heuristics basically means like the first prototype, which also means stereotype for some decision making. And for there's something that I want to learn more about, like constructive memory, like how memory got reconstructed. And I was like surprised by the experience made by Ms. Elizabeth Loftus of misinformation effect. Those kind of like using some words and using the language to change our memories. It sounds super cool, and I really think it's pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to learn more about it in the future by researching on it. And that's all for my cognition unit reflection. Thank you.